Hey yo YouTube, I am here to continue talking about my D&D game. Last I left off, we just opened up a door that seemed too easy. Um, we pushed through it. We end up being in like a forest woodland area, and like we travel not far, we start hearing like a ruckus, and my character runs out towards it, trying to move silently. Though I want to say I failed, uh, but while I run out there, like this old like ranger guy, jumps out of the bushes and says like, "Don't let the Wimmick go over there. He'll get ripped apart." I end up hearing him and circling back around, and pretty much he tells us that there's a swarm of those creatures we just saw in those cells, and that there's so many of them. If we get caught, we'll get ripped apart. Uh, he also said that like the doors opening up is probably what attracted them, so they're coming this way. Um, so we start, just moving, like all of us are moving at full speed. Uh, Most of us, since our classes and our like me being a Wimmick, Beck being a vampire, stuff like that, most of us are able to move at a good pace for a while, except for Nina. Like eventually it gets to the point where Nina's slowing down, and eventually one of the Wimmicks that are with us volunteers to carry her. And like I'm like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then like Nina tries to like jump on his lion side, like she's gonna ride him, and he's like, "No." And he grabs her and puts her under her arm, and carries on. Now I want to say we travel for like a few hours, or maybe even like the whole like daylight, and like eventually like the rangers start getting wore down. He says that there's a camp, and he does know where a group of Wimmicks are, because eventually we do stop and someone explain what we're doing or what's going on. um, I'm a little more vague of what I'm saying because he's a human, we don't know, but he ends up leading us to this camp. Most of them inside of it seem like they're like a Native American tribe, and then there's like two or three of them that are like Frenchmen, or I want to say there was a lady that looked like the regular kind of Indian, or the other kind of Indian. Um, and like we tell them, we vaguely tell them what the mission is, tell them we're looking for Wimmicks. They tell us pretty much that that of course then the natives are just native here, but like the three French people are French like people. Like they were sent here on like a mission like a year ago. They ended up finding the door, they ended up going through it, and they ended up opening it, and somehow the Abbas ended up getting through, and they started coming in swarms. At some point, another group showed up to study them, and they said that whenever that group showed up, like things got worse. Like those were the ones that I guess were guarding the door, and they said that things are called Abbas. Last time I described them with like loose skin. Apparently, it's more like translucent skin, like you can see their muscles. At one point, we see a picture of a different one, and to me, it kind of looked like the I Am Legend monsters, or maybe even Blade 2 when they don't, if they didn't open their mouth and weren't vampires. Uh, we do hear something about how they're like de-evolved humans or something like that. Like they said that they did find the door that leads to their world, and at some point, like I guess they left it open or something like that. Um, they tell us that the forest to whichever direction we need to go is just filled with them. Like that's their territory. Um, they said there's these barriers that holds them in here, and then on the other side, it's the Wimmicks that are holding them. and they said that this particular group of Wemmicks Thunder Clan is incredibly hostile to humans. Like if they see a human, they'll pretty much, or at least on their territory, they'll attack them on sight. Um, so at first they're not really encouraging us to go on with our mission and stuff like that. I end up like saying like, well, if they're warriors and they worship Star Clan, like when they find out what our mission is, they'll surely join us. Um, Eventually, pretty much the ranger ends up agreeing to lead us through the forest to try to get to the Wemmicks, and they tell us that the people that were guarding the door would have already taken back over the door by now, and if we wanted to travel through and retake the door, we're gonna have to convince the Native American like group settlement that's here and the Wemmicks to come together because we're not going to be able to take the door by themselves. So we go on like a day's trek through the woods. Nothing happens while we don't run into any Abbas. Eventually, the territory of the Wemmicks of ThunderClan, Thunder Pride are like mountain areas. So eventually we get to the mountain areas. We start following like this like slope. Eventually we're on this trail along the mountain, and the DM says we start hearing like scratching sounds, and figuring, well, we're out of, for the most part, we're out of Alba territory. It looks like we're in Wemmick territory now. I started doing the thing I did before where I started roaring like friend, message from Star Clan, stuff like that. And it ends up being Alba's crawling up the wall, crawling up the mountain. So we pull out our long ranges and start rolling initiative. Um, I said it a few videos ago where we see because like in the hallway with the doors, we fought against 10 Abbas, and I'm looking at the map and I'm seeing only like 7 Abbas here, and there's another person who's fighting with us. So I'm like, yeah, something else is gonna jump into this before this ends. I even said like it's gonna be big versions of that. And then sure enough, a few rounds later, like the DM says yeah, he already called it. Like you see a lot bigger versions. We do hear a rumor that there's been seen intelligent versions of the Alba. Um, so we uh, so we started shooting at them. Eventually, some of them get to us. With the spells and everything, we take them down pretty easily. It's not that hard of a fight. I do remember I got the every now and then we'll do the how do you do this, and like I remember I got it and I said I like the Abba was clung onto the wall hypnotized, and I got 2 shots on it and I said I hit them both in the eye. Um, so we kill all the Abbas off the wall. We continue following the trail. I say that we need to keep pushing because I'm sure Albus heard us fighting and heard me roaring, and they're like, I'm sure the Wemmicks did too. So we come across this area where it looks like there's a cave, and I just walk forward with I tell the 2 Wemmicks to walk forward with me, and I just stand in front of the entrance, and I didn't want them to, but like Nina ends up following me, and then Beck ends up following her, and I'm kind of like, I should have said something then because I knew that's not what I wanted, and as the group of Wemmicks come out and see us, and I give them a rough rundown of what our mission is. Like this time, I decided since they're more wild, I decided to describe it as I decided to describe it as we are a cohort we are a cohort formed by Star Pride. Now we tell them our mission, stuff like that. since they're a little more human hostile, like seeing the humans, I could tell threw them off. Like I have a feeling it would have been a lot easier if they would have stayed back and let me sort it out. Um, but like 3 or 4 sessions ago, our DM added inspiration and advantage disadvantage to our game because we play 3.5. We never did that. Uh, and I had one advantage said that I heard since he started it. It was whenever I suggested that they go to sleep to try and talk to Adam, and he ends up asking me to roll a diplomacy, and I have crap diplomacy, and I roll it. I end up getting an 8. Then I'm like, oh, like I've been sitting on this inspiration for like 2, 3 sessions, so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna use it, and I roll and get a 4, bring it up to 12, because I asked them to see their medicine cat, and then he turns around and then like after I turn it into a 12, he's like, all right, he turns around and go gets the medicine cat because I asked something about like if they're losing their contract with contact with Star Pride, and he's like, "I'm not a medicine cat. I really don't know. You would have to ask that." And then like that's when the thing happens. And I've been rambling for 10 minutes. You wanna hear what happens? Watch the next video and watch the want to know the whole story, watch the other videos, and I'll check you later.